Are you thinking about moving to the Philly suburbs, but you're not quite sure what surprises might be in store for you? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to share 5 surprising facts about the Philly suburbs that I wished I knew when I moved here. With over 9 years of real estate experience and helping dozens and dozens of families call the Philly suburbs home, I've seen a lot. And these tips are going to help you save time, stress, and maybe even a little bit of money. So let's dive into it. If there's one thing that you need to know about the Philly suburbs, it is that the school districts are everything. Even if you don't have kids, the quality of the local school districts can have a huge impact on homes values, which will make a big difference when you go to sell your home someday. When it comes to the top-rated school districts in the entire state, the Philly suburbs are very hard to beat. In fact, 15 of the top 25 rated school districts, according to niche.com, are right here in the Philly suburbs. Radnor School District, located in Delaware County, takes the crown as the #1 top-rated school district in the entire state. Tredyffrin Easttown in Chester County, which is always a favorite, ranks in at #3 in the entire state. Not far behind is Lower Merion and Montgomery Township, where Kobe Bryant went to school, and that ranks as #4 in the state. Other standout school districts are New Hope, Solebury in Bucks County, Springford Area School District, Unionville Chadsford School District, Westchester School District, and where I live personally in Downingtown School District. If great schools are at the top of your priority list, then you don't have to go anywhere else. We have it all right here. And I know a lot of you are thinking as a family that you want your kid to have a great education and you want to go through the public school district. That's why the Philly suburbs is the best place in the entire state. If I had $1 for every time someone wanted to be in Tredyffrin Easttown or go to Conestoga High School or even go to Unionville Chadsford, I'd probably be able to retire by now. But here is something that's really important. You have to understand this. Keep this in mind, that with the top rated school districts, that means that the home values are much higher than the other areas. As you can see, the school districts are a big reason why people tend to relocate here, but there's something else that is just as important. And if you're going to be working in the city or the surrounding area, you really need to pay attention to this. The Philly suburbs are well connected, so that means that it makes getting to the city or the surrounding areas pretty easy, but there's a big catch. Traffic can get really bad, especially around rush hours. And look, there are several big highways around here that's going to make it easy, again, to get into the city or the surrounding areas. You have I-95, Route 202, Route 30, and the most infamous one is Route I-76. If you ask anyone that lives here, I-76 is a disaster almost all the time. And here's the deal. If you don't want to deal with traffic, we do have SEPTA. So we have the local buses and the local trains that can take you from place to place. Towns like Ardmore, Paoli, Bryn Mawr, Malvern, Downingtown, and even now Coatesville have train stations that make it really easy to get into Center City. And a lot of people choose to live near these train stations to make their commute so much easier for them because they know it's a very big part of their day. And if you live further out, you just have to take this into account. Say you live in an area like Pottstown or Doylestown or even Harleysville, and you have to get into Center City or the surrounding suburbs for work, then you're just going to have to plan accordingly. Commutes are a big piece to this puzzle. If you ask anyone who has to travel 30, 45, 50 minutes, or even an hour each way, it is a large drain on your mental clarity, right? And it cuts into everything. So you have to be mindful of this. When you're choosing a neighborhood to live in, you have to pick what works best for you and for your commute as well. Once you figure out your commute, there's another big cost that you have to be cautious of, and that's property taxes. Property taxes is one of those costs that can really catch you off guard when you're thinking about moving to the Philly suburbs. What a lot of people don't realize is that property taxes can vary a lot depending on where you live. For example, Chester County often has the lower property taxes than Montgomery County, but this isn't always the case because the school district and local amenities also play a big role in how much you will pay. And this goes back to those top-rated school districts. If you choose to live there, then you're generally going to be paying a little bit more in property taxes. And then on the other hand, if you're choosing to live in a more rural area, then you're probably not going to be paying as much in your property taxes. But there are some instances where that is not true. For example, if you take a look at Coatesville School District, the taxes there are generally higher than the surrounding areas. And then on the other hand, if you take a look at another area like Drexel Hill, the taxes are really high, and that's located in Montgomery County. And it still baffles me as to why. But property taxes is something that you really need to consider when you're budgeting for buying a property. They are going to be part of your monthly payment, and it can really add up, and it can actually make or break the potential deal that you're looking at. All of this is so important to know before you actually make an offer on any home in any location. And I'll personally never forget the first time I opened a property tax bill because it was significantly higher than living in the city. Once you understand the cost, the next thing to consider is finding the right neighborhood. And luckily, the Philly suburbs has a place for everyone. In my opinion, one of the best things about the Philly suburbs are the neighborhoods and the fact that you can get any type of living that you want in this area. If you love the charm of a small town, places like Media and Westchester are perfect. They have walkable downtowns with super cute shops, local restaurants, and lots of events happening all year long. If you're looking for the suburban feel, if you want to be on a cul-de-sac in a neighborhood with other people and sidewalks, we have that as well. And there are countless, hundreds and hundreds of neighborhoods in the Philly suburbs where you can get that exact feel. And the great thing is, in most parts of these suburban areas, you are still close to shopping, to dining, to the doctor's office, to the schools, to the local parks, and everything. And then, if you want more space, if you want acres of land, if you want a farm, if you want anything that is not close to your neighbors, we have a lot of options as well. When you're desiring that countryside, you have places like Southern Chester County and Bucks County to fall back on. You're going to find larger properties with lots of land, rolling hills, and absolutely stunning views that you can't find anywhere else. No matter what kind of lifestyle you're looking for, there is a neighborhood here that will make you feel right at home. When I first moved here, I had no idea how many different options there were, right? And I'm coming from the city. So I moved to Downingtown Borough, and it actually gave me a little bit of a city feel, right? The homes are a little bit closer to each other, so your neighbors are a little bit closer to you. The land is a little bit smaller than you can get in other places, but it made me feel a part of a community, and that's exactly what I was looking for. And while we're on the topic of finding the perfect fit, there's another thing that's very important that you have to account for, and that's the cost of living. One thing you'll notice about the Philly suburbs is that the cost of living can vary greatly, just like the property taxes can. And if you're planning and budgeting, this is one of the most important things that you have to take account for. In places like Lower Merion or Radnor, where the schools are top rated and the location is very close to the city, home prices tend to be a bit higher, which we already talked about earlier. But if you're willing to go out a little further, say an area like Pottstown or like Gilbertsville, then those areas, the cost of living generally tends to be a little bit less. Smaller or more rural towns, especially in places like Southern Chester County or in Northern Bucks County, they tend to offer more space, generally cheaper properties, and again, the cost of living will be a little bit less, but you're going to be further away from a lot of things that people want to generally be closer to. On top of all that, things like groceries, gas, and utilities can also be a little higher in some areas compared to others. For example, living closer to the walkable towns or to the boroughs, generally the prices are a little bit more expensive, especially when it comes to gas prices. I have seen gas prices higher in the more rural areas and then less expensive in the more condensely packed areas. The key here is to balance your budget with your priorities. If you want to live in a top-rated school district or closer to the city, you will be paying a little bit more. But for many people, it's worth the convenience. And if you need more space and lower payments, then you can choose to move to somewhere where it's more rural and spread out. The craziest thing that I noticed when I moved out to the Philly suburbs is how much less my car insurance was. And I'm talking almost $80 a month less, right? Because I was living in the city. And generally in the city, you pay more in car insurance because it's more condensely packed and there's more of the likelihood that you'll get into an accident. But I Moved out to the suburbs, and again, I was paying almost $80 less per month. Now that we've talked about schools, commutes, taxes, neighborhoods, and the cost of living, here's one final thing to know. The housing market in the Philly suburbs is strong and steady. Because of the great schools, because of the great quality of life, because of the great healthcare that's out here, this market has always been very strong and steady. It continues to appreciate. It continues to draw a large portion of buyers to the area, which makes it more desirable. And that means that your home values are going to continue to go up. So whether you're buying your first home here, or you're buying a move-up property here, or you're buying the second home here, whatever it is, you can bet that for the most part, the values will continue to rise. Moving in general is a very big step, and I hope these tips helped you. And if you want to work with me and my team to help you find your property, all you have to do is click that link below. Schedule an appointment with me. Look forward to speaking with you soon. Have an awesome day.